Okay, so the Juniper vLabs account came through. In the previous video, it did say it could take up to 24 hours for your account to become activated. However, it looks like it came through to my Skill Nuggets email within about 35 minutes, so that was pretty quick. So let's go through. So I've logged in, and you come to this particular page which has all the labs that you can actually launch. Now, the thing with these labs is that they have static topologies. So, for argument's sake, if we was to look at this Juniper Junos Day 1 experience, click on the more information and click on the topology. The cabling topology is set, that's static, so you can't add and remove devices, unlike, for example, if you're using the Cisco's DevNet, where you can literally completely remove everything that's on your session and rebuild the session from scratch. So while you can't do that, you can, however, put new IP addresses on, put new services. You can basically do anything you want with these devices. You just can't change the topology. So it's still very, very flexible. So for argument's sake, let's look at another one here. Let's have a look at, say, one of the bigger ones further down. Okay, this one has, see this routing one, which is Ospf multi-area. It has 6 VMXs on its image. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is how it's currently set up, this particular lab. So set up with 3 OSPF areas. Now, you can wipe the configs for OSPF on these if you wanted to. You can wipe the IP addresses that are on these as well, and then you can just have your 6 routers and configure them exactly how you like. The only thing you can't delete is the links that they're using themselves for SSH. But other than that, you can delete virtually all the config, delete, and then basically do what you want with it. So if you want to change this to ISIS, BGP, you just want to mess around with some layer 2 bridging, you can do that. You don't have to stick with the configs that are currently on there. But the thing is, if you wanted to just jump straight in and do some OSPF, well, you've already got some basic OSPF set up. But the beauty of it is the fact that you've got 6 devices there, virtual devices that you can use for 6 hours at a time. I believe you can extend the session as well, and it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. If you used to be running those devices, bear in mind they're running one of the latest versions of Junos 19. I know we're on 20 now in production, but they're using Junos 19, so these will be the dual image ones. You're looking at 4, 5, maybe even 6 gigs per image. So that's a lot of memory and a lot of resource if you're going to be using these virtualized on your home equipment. Whereas here you've got 6 that you can use, do what you want. I believe you can get more if you go further down. Let's have a look at source. So that's under the routing section. Okay, so here you go. You've got 6 VMXs there, 4 virtual routers on that. You've got 7 VMXs in this segment routing. The switching one is also very, very good because these will have QFXs on them, so give you a nice introduction to some switching, especially if you want to use or go down the data center aspect. So if you want to do some spanning tree, you've got a spanning tree set up there, which is great. It's very flexible for what you can do. This is also very, very interesting, the Juniper automation and programmability. If ever you're looking to get into that, there's a good course on Udemy through Ben Jacobson for his JNCIA DevOps. It's very, very good, very informative. But yeah, that's very good for practicing some automation, which, of course, as you may know, every network engineer needs to be able to automate these days. So for the practice, what we're going to be doing, especially if you're doing just the JNCIA, you just want to go through, I would just use a standard VMX, because you just want to be able to sit there and you want to be able to go through the file system, just to be familiar with how the operating system works. But feel free. I mean, this is your virtual labs. If you want to sit there and do the day one experiences and then go on to Juniper's website and download the free Juniper day one books and work through them, fantastic. If you want to decide you want to do a whole set of routing, then load up a different one. But just for terms of seeing what you can do with the Juniper vLabs, we'll just use the one VMX at the moment. So we'll just click on launch for that. And it's just going to bring up, here we go. All right, so this is just like if you've ever seen, it's like Cloud Shell, where they will run this virtualized in the background, and this just be your interface. So what you're going to do, you're going to click reserve on the top here, and you should get a pop-up which will tell you how long you want to reserve it for. Now, where it's scheduled for 3 hours as standard, you can change that to as far as 6 hours if you want. If you go to the days, there's none. So 6 hours seems to be the most that they will let you do. Now, in the past, the Cisco DevNet, you could actually reserve a lab for a week. But I think even the Cisco DevNet stuff now is down to a day or two at most. But this is very generous. But I've never gone more than a couple of hours when I've been using this, because I have the likes of EVE-NG on mine, so I don't use the vLabs a lot. But from what I know, I'm sure you can actually re-extend your session. But we're not going to do. We're only going to do an hour today, because I don't want to be taking up too much of their time and their resources just for show a little bit. Okay, apparently they'll email you an hour before it's due to end. So let's reserve this. Now, if you have ever used the Cisco DevNet ones, which again are fantastic, if you've used them, great. If you've not, they require you to use a VPN to log into their labs once they're up and running. Juniper doesn't require anything like that. It's just a complete interface here. Set up 9 minutes. Right, so as soon as this is set up, we'll come back and see what's going on with it. Okay, so it's taken about 10 minutes, and as we can see, the status is now changed to active. You can also see here on the left hand side of that how much time you have left of your session. If you remember, I only chose an hour for this session, so I've got 58 minutes left. Okay, so this is the image. So we've got one VMX running. So if we click on the image itself and we get the wheel pop up, click on there for the labels, and we have our SSH client. So if we click on our SSH client, it should open a new window, which will give us a web-based client. There we go. So we're in. Let's have a look. So let's see what we can do. So show version. Okay, so it's showing us that we're running. That's a VMX model, so a virtual MX series router. It shows us what version of iOS we're using, which is just 19.4.1. It shows us what daemons that are currently running. It's got a lot of information there. Let's go show chassis hardware. Okay, so we can see that you've got it's running in light mode, which means it's been set to use basically as little memory as is needed. Okay, let's have a look at the configuration. Okay, so they've already put a host name in, which you can change. There's already a root authentication password, which you can also change. There's also a basic user, JUser. Now, within the lab itself, there is instructions here, which will tell you, what the username and password is somewhere. I'm sure I've read it. Either that or it'll be in your email. 1 to 2. Okay, so what else have we got? So we have SSH is in there, obviously, because we've done netconf is on, REST is on. So if you want to spin up and try and you do some REST APIs, you can do that. But let's, okay, you got a static root set up. Now this is the only one. One of the only things I don't think you can delete is the static routing options and FXP, because the FXP is the management interface. So I believe these two are what's required for the actual session to work, so you can connect to them. Other than that, you can change absolutely anything that you like. Now, if you choose one of the other virtual labs that has multiple devices, let's say you was to choose this one, for argument's sake, you'd have another window there for each one of these devices that you're SSHing into. And of course, like I said, as long as you don't remove the FXP0 and the default static route, you can change the IP addresses on these interfaces, you can change what services are running, you can do basically whatever you want. So really, you've got free labbing if you need it. I mean, this works absolutely fine. You can practice everything from JNCIA, JNCIS, JNCIP. I've been told that you can use it for JNCIE. However, you are limited because I think the maximum you can get is 7 or 8 devices. But you can use it for everything, for your entire Juniper journey. You want to do automation, but they have automation scripts and automation setups that are there. You want to do Mist, you want to do some Wi-Fi, they've got some Wi-Fi stuff there. You want to do switching, you want to do security. Everything you need is actually in the Juniper Labs itself. So if you don't have equipment or you don't have access to images that you can use in GNS3 or even G/PNet, depending which one you use, then this is by far the best alternative. Or, for argument's sake, if you want to run a slightly bigger topology, that has 4, 5, 6, 7 devices, but your own system at home doesn't have enough memory to run them, then yeah, this is a great alternative. Guess you started with no outlay whatsoever. I couldn't recommend it enough, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, it's free. It does what it needs to do, and you'll learn what you want to learn from it, and you can't go wrong really. You definitely can't go wrong. Well, I hope this will help you if you do decide to use it. Any questions, just get back to us.